Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Shay Explores Daily, and today we've got another video. I'm back here in Harwich. I'm going to reshoot the Harwich Heritage Trail. So a lot of you may wonder, Shay, why are you doing it again? Why are you here? Well, the last time I was here, the quality of the video was very poor. It poured down with rain, it was high tide, and yeah, it wasn't very good. But today we're gonna do it again and do it much better. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've got many cool stuff coming soon for you guys. In the meantime, let's go. Some of you may wonder, what is the Harwich Heritage Trail? So I'm going to take a tour of this small Essex coastal town and look at its history, both militarily and commercially as well. So we're going to take a walk at a few of the sites and show you guys why each bit's are very important. So sit down and enjoy the ride. The first stop on this video is this place behind me called the Beacon Hill Battery. So for those of you that don't know, Harwich is a coastal town literally facing the North Sea, across the River Orwell from Felixstowe in Suffolk. Originally, this tower here was essentially built to defend Harwich from invasion. So what happened is there was actually guns built on this, and what happened is essentially any enemy combatants would be targeted way before they could reach the Essex coastline. Today, as you can see, it is no longer in use, but in its heyday, it was very useful, especially during the First and Second World Wars, I believe, simply because all the areas of England that faced mainland Europe were obviously the areas that were most at threat from invasion. So you can see why this place behind me was so important. Also as well, I believe you can get actual official guided tours of this place. Today obviously it's closed, but if you come back, I believe there is a tour guide that will take you and learn the history of this place. It goes back to, I think, the 1880s, when originally the threat was I think an invasion from the French, if I'm not mistaken. But this place has a lot of history. So guys, as you can see, the fort stretches from there all the way down here where I'm going now. So essentially this is where the main fort was. That place there was the battery. So here guys, you can see the opening times during winter. So Monday to Friday by appointment only, Saturday and Sunday 10 AM to 4 PM. It is a free admission guys, and you can give donations, but there's the website there with all the information that you need about obviously the fort. So guys, over there ahead is where the fort is, straight ahead there. And then shortly across the river, you've got there Felixstowe, basically. So on the other side of the water is Landguard Fort. And if you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that I've gone there already. So Landguard Fort and Beacon Hill Fort essentially looked over the river, basically, both at the same time. So the lighthouse behind me is known as the Harwich Low Lighthouse, simply for a variety of reasons. So historically, Harwich was guarded by two lighthouses, a low one and a high one, which gave all the ships directions when they came in and out of the harbour, basically, or out of the River Orwell, essentially. This one here was created in 1818 and was discontinued in 1863. But today it is a museum, which you can see. Today it's closed, as you can see, but it is a very cool thing to see. Also as well, with this lighthouse, this one here replaced one that was here previously, but this wasn't the original lighthouse. Today I believe the lights come from somewhere else in Dovercourt, which is just down the river there. But if you ever come to Harwich, have a look at this place behind me. Behind me is the Harwich Treadwheel crane, which essentially is a tribute to the original crane, which stood in Harwich and was created in 1667. So the story is many years ago, Harwich used to be a massive shipping town, and cranes like this used to get stuff on and off the ships very quickly. It was manned by multiple men who used to work inside of it to help the crane move properly and obviously cohesively also. Today obviously this is not in use, but you can see a magnitude of the size of it and how important it was for the town at that time. The earliest known reference to a crane of this type goes back to the Roman era, many centuries ago. But by the 17th and 18th century, these kind of cranes were sort of going out of fashion. And I believe Harwich is just the only town in the UK with one of this type still standing, basically. So behind me is known as the high lighthouse. So previously I spoke about the low one. This one here is the high one. This one here is double the height of the low one. The low one is 45 feet in height, whereas this one is about 90 feet in height, so double the height. Distance between them both is probably maybe a couple hundred meters or so. I'm not sure the exact distance, but this one here, you can actually go inside when it's open and go to the top. I think it's like a museum in there, and you can see like a picturesque view of pretty much the whole of Harwich. Obviously it's no longer in use, but this lighthouse here is the site of the end of a famous Essex walking trail, which takes you from Epping, which is the end of the Central Line, all the way here. It's about 81 miles in total. But yeah, that is the high lighthouse. So here you can see a brief history linking both, obviously, Felixstowe and Harwich, basically. So as you can see, the Great Depression and World War II left this area damaged and so on. But during the 1800s, that was the heyday of this area, where trade and so on was at its highest. As you can see, there was also an air station here as well, but you can see a map here of Harwich here and Felixstowe. So they're both very, very close together. Also as well, in the summer, you can get a boat that takes you from Harwich to Felixstowe. It takes like 10 minutes, I think, to cross. But these two towns are historically linked and forever will be. Behind me is the Harwich Lifeboat Museum, and this museum goes back about 30 years, and its origins are quite interesting. So initially there was, I think, someone up in Cromer was looking to actually store like a cool lifeboat, a cool boat. So the people of Harwich decided, and the council decided, to have it stored here. This building, I believe, was owned by the council at the time, and the council didn't want to give it to them and help them turn it into a museum. But with the support of many, many stakeholders, people came together and turned this building into the museum that it is today. It's got a lot of history and so on and so forth. But what's really cool about it as well is that there is the boat that originally it was built for is still in there, and this was an old derelict building. It actually wasn't anything special. But in the 90s, the people of Harwich came together with other people and made this into what it is today. And here you can see the names of everyone who took part to make it what it is. So you can see, obviously, places like, for example, Stena Sealing, which is the company that has the ships that go from here to the Netherlands. You've got BT, Co-op Care Grant, Harwich Town Council, Tendring District Council, Harwich Havering Authority, the Port of Felixstowe, and so on and so forth, including the RNLI. This little park, or this little area that I'm sitting in now, pays tribute to the victims of the Harwich floods of 1953. So in 1953 was known as the North Sea floods, where the waters pretty much came in and large parts of Harwich and Dovercourt were sadly flooded. 9 people sadly lost their lives, including a mother and baby, and also a man who stepped in to try to save them. This beautiful garden here has all the information about it, and also on the floor is got like pretty much the names of everyone who sadly passed away, and also their ages as well. So it's a very, very sad reminder of what's happened also. So here you can see the flood impact, and you can see the photos of obviously what's happened, the houses being destroyed and people trying to rescue others. Here you can see a map of the areas of Harwich and Dovercourt that were underwater. So where we are now around here would have all been underwater. All around here, all around by the harbour and down to Dovercourt. So as you can see, it had quite a large impact on the area. Another reason I love Norway as a country, as you can see here, is they actually helped to rebuild some of the homes in this area. The Norwegian government helped to build Norwegian style homes in Harwich. Across the road you will also see Harwich's Electric Cinema. So this is one of Britain's oldest largely unaltered cinemas anywhere in the country. Built in 1911, originally it was a huge success simply because the people of Harwich loved it, but also all of the naval fleet staff and stuff who used to go and watch movies in there. Eventually it became in disrepair, and I think in the 1950s it closed down. In the 70s there was a campaign to bring it back, and it was restored to a good extent. And it was even visited by the Queen and Prince Philip rest in peace, when they were alive. I think they came in 2004 if I'm not mistaken, but it is a cool piece of Harwich history. It was damaged in the floods as well, but it was restored, and yeah, today obviously it's still there, and it's a very, very cool place. So guys, you can see here the history of the old naval shipyard here in Harwich that goes back to 1664. So this historically is where everything used to happen from. All of the goods coming in and out, the people coming in and out, and so on and so forth. Here you can see an illustration of all the years in which the various ships were built here. So it goes all the way from 1660 right there, all the way up until about 1826. So guys, Harwich has a very proud history of this behind me. This is called Kinder Transport. So during the Second World War, many Jewish children were forced to flee Nazi Germany, and Britain was kind enough to essentially take them in. Harwich was the first place which they entered the UK. So they came off of boats here at Harwich, then boarded trains to London, and then so on and so forth. This statue here illustrates that, and illustrates the history of it, because obviously for those children, some of them sadly never saw their parents again. Some of them were sadly killed in Germany, or they were separated, and so on and so forth. But it's a very, very important reminder of the sacrifices that soldiers made previously for the country that we live in today. There is also another statue like this in Liverpool Street Station, outside of the entrance by the McDonald's. You'll see one like this as well, and the reason is because these statues are put in locations that symbolize the path that these children took when they arrived from Nazi Germany into Britain. So to Harwich, to London, and then so on and so forth. As you can see, 2nd of December 1938, these kids arrived in Britain, and there was about 200 or so children basically. And as you can see, they're being greeted when they arrive, obviously in Britain. They're coming off, and so on and so forth. So guys, behind me is Harwich's RNLI station, and the RNLI stands for Royal National Lifeboat Institution. It's an organisation that has been saving lives at sea up and down Britain's coast for up to 200 years now. They just had their 200th birthday. So the history of Harwich is this. Harwich has had a lifeboat station originally in 1821, and eventually it was closed down, I believe, in 1917, but with an increase in activity it was restored in 1965, and this site here has been there ever since. The RNLI has a big history in Harwich because this area here, obviously it's a very big area for commercial shipping, you know, goods and so on. So it's a big area for activity, but as you can see behind me, it still stands, and it's a very important part of the town's history. So roughly around 92% of the RNLI's funding comes from donations. On average, they save about 35 people a day anywhere up and down Britain. So here you can see an example of an RNLI lifeboat, as you can see, and it's quite large. Obviously it can carry quite a few people, but you get a rough idea. Here you've got an illustration of obviously what it looks like and how it works. So you can see things like the electronics. It teaches you things about the salvage pump, the engine room, and so on and so forth. But as you can see, that is an illustration, and that's obviously the real thing right there. And here they've got a piece about the tragedy of the Harwich Harbour, in which, as you can see here, in 1982, a car and passenger ferry was travelling from Felixstowe in Suffolk here all the way to Belgium, and unfortunately it collided with another ship, and there was a massive rescue operation that happened. That is it guys for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Let me know, where should I go next? What should I do? In the meantime, I'll see you soon on the next video.